Hey everyone, this is episode 10 of the Something 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 Show, and I'm your host, Andy Wood. For those of you that are not familiar, this is the show where I talk about comic books and gaming. When it comes to comic books, I will pass along some comic book news that you may or may not know. I will tell you about some of the comic books that I've read this past week and what I think, and tell you also about the new comics coming out new this week. Since I'm also a gamer, I will again pass along some gaming news that you may or may not know, and tell you about what I have been gaming and what I think. Comic book code, comic book code, comic book code. Alright, so if you're new to the show, there's going to be a comic book title and a code appearing on the screen as I say this. It may be a Marvel or it could be a DC title. Is what you'll do is you'll have to go to a link that I'll put down below to redeem the code, and you get the comic, digital, free, read it. Reading free comic books is cool, I think. Have you seen this? Well then, have you seen this? It would appear that the pop sensation has posted a pic of himself with the script of Zack Snyder's Man of Steel sequel. Basically, don't believe anything until the Internet Movie Database states it, for the most part. It would appear that Warner Brothers has named their Flash or Barry Allen for the upcoming Arrow TV series. Grant Gustin has been cast as a role as Barry Allen and is slated to appear in episodes 208, 209, and 220 in Season 2 of CW's Arrow. Comic book code, comic book code, comic book code, comic book code. So, keep your eyes peeled. There could be a DC code, and it should be very obvious that it's a DC code. And I don't say it during this because I'm not too sure what codes I'll put up at what time. So what were some of the titles that I read this past week? I read Sidekick number 2 by Image Comics. In this issue, we find out that the Moonglow twins, which was Flyboy's and Red Cowl's most arch enemies, are back for vengeance, but we don't know whose vengeance. Moving on to some of the DC supervillain titles that came out this past week. First up is Superman 23.2 Brainiac. Up until now, every single one of the DC supervillain issues that I've read was really good, until this one. From the writing, it felt like the writer just struggled trying to reinvent Brainiac. With Detective 23.2 Harley Quinn, the issue was really chaotic. It was very Harley Quinn-ish. You got to see some more of her past that I don't think was really revealed before. But it was too chaotic. It didn't seem to have any real structure to it. But towards the end, it somewhat redeemed itself because it looks like she might be teaming up with Deadshot. So I look forward to that team-up. Lastly is Batman 23.2, The Riddler, which gives us a glimpse of what I can only describe as controlled chaos when it comes to Edward Enigma. Comic book code, comic book code, comic book code. Alright, so there's a code. It's a comic book code. And you grab the code and you redeem the code for a comic book. And you get a comic and you read it. Okay, that's how it goes. So, done doing it? You did it? Okay, good. What is new for the week of September 18th? Before I tell you that, let me tell you once again, September is DC Supervillain Month. So if you're trying to get your hands on some of those 3D holographic covers over the weekend, it isn't going to happen. Get to your local comic book store on Wednesday to guarantee that you get what you're looking for. So let's go into what's coming out new this week. Batman 23.3 The Penguin, where we follow the Penguin's latest quest for power as he prepares to undermine one of Gotham City's most powerful politicians. What does the criminal mastermind stand to gain? Batman and Robin 23.3. For centuries, Raish has had a plan for this world. He is now faced with an offer from a secret society that could help him achieve what he wants, or undo everything he has worked for. Which path will the demon's head choose? Infinity number 3. There's a prison break, stealing a world killer, and the fall of Adeline. Uncanny X-Men number 12. The Uncanny X-Men enter into the crossover. Whose side will they be on? Comic book code, comic book code, comic book code. Okay, so by now, you should know there's a code. You take this code, you redeem the code, and you get a comic book, and yada, 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 yada. Okay, so here's some gaming news that I pulled off the internet for you guys this time. For those of you that are playing Defiance, the new creative lead passed along that the team will be focusing on balancing. So it would appear that all the weapons are going to be balanced. The team is also going to be looking at tweaking and improving shields, inventories, objectives, the user interface, and especially the chat system. The creative lead, Trick Dempsey, ends a letter that he wrote in the forums teasing of the upcoming second DLC, of which the details he said would be coming soon. Another piece of news that I pulled off the internet has to do with Steam and their new friends and family sharing program that they just announced. And this is pretty exciting. So on a very high level, if you have a friend and you see a game that they have that you don't have, you can basically check it out like a book from a library. And when you install it and play it, you earn your own achievements. And no one else can check it out until you check it back in. And that's a very high level. That's all they've really released. And I think they said, if I read correctly, that it goes into an extremely limited beta within the next 2 weeks. So that's actually going to be pretty cool, as long as you have friends. So what games have I been playing this week? I have been very centric on my games. In fact, we'll take the S off. I've only been playing one game this past week, and it's all been part of my trying to warm up for the new Batman Arkham Origin that comes out in about 3.5 weeks. So I've been playing Batman Arkham City, and playing it, I've actually got some DLC that I haven't had before, so it's been a fairly new experience for me. And as of this show, I've pretty much finished it. I did as many of the side missions I wanted. The ones that I didn't complete, I think would have been boring and frustrating, so I didn't do them. So that's all the gaming I've done. And I've put all of the Let's Play videos up on YouTube, so if you want to check them out, you can check them out. If not, I finished the game. And it was fun. I liked it. I mean, as a comic book person, playing a comic book game, and it wasn't just like a button mash 'em up. There's actually a pretty good story. Some good lore in there. Some very good representation of the actual characters. And there wasn't just a main story that you had to follow. There's some side stories, and they all actually interconnected. So a real good game. Again, like I said, there's only a couple things in my pipe for this year. One is State of Decay, which is coming to the PC via Steam via early access. And as soon as I get that, I will definitely be passing that information along to you guys. And then, like I said, Batman Arkham Origin. And, of course, this game takes place before the current game that I'm playing, and even the one before that. So we're going to have a lot of fun. And ladies and gentlemen, that is the show for this week. I want to, again, thank you very much for taking your time out to listen to me babble about stuff, about passing along comic book news and gaming news that you may or may not have known, like I've said 12 times before. And, again, I want to, this is very sincere. I really appreciate everyone that's been sending me all this great feedback, all this encouragement, for everyone that's been subscribing to the channel, for all the thumbs up, all the likes I've been getting. And for some of the input as well. Some of the, you know, hey, Andy, just be yourself. Try not to be so professional and stuff like that. So, again, thank you very much. And don't forget, next Wednesday is what? That's right. It's New Comic Book Week. And, again, this villain DC cover stuff, DC villain covers, they're hot. So if you're into comic books or even slightly into them, they're really, really fantastic. There are some issues that I wouldn't recommend, as I said previously. But for the most part, they're really good because they're brand new origins, or they're just giving you a new expansion on the origin. So it's new stuff. It's not retold or rehashed or anything like that. It's new. So have a great rest of the week. Talk to you later. Bye.